Have you ever wondered who would win in a fight between a samurai and a knight? It's the ultimate showdown between two of history's most iconic warriors. One, a master of the blade from the land of the rising sun. The other, a steel-clad champion from medieval Europe. It sounds like something straight out of a video game, but today we're going to break it down for real. We'll look at their armor, their weapons, their training, and the very codes they lived and died by. So, grab your popcorn, because this is the clash of legends you've been waiting for. Let's start with the armor. A European knight in full plate was essentially a walking tank. We're talking head-to-toe articulated steel, designed to deflect swords, arrows, and even mace blows. This full-plate armor, popular around the 15th century, offered incredible protection. It was heavy, yes, weighing up to 60 pounds, but it was surprisingly flexible, allowing for a good range of motion. The goal was simple: make the knight as invulnerable as possible on a chaotic battlefield. Now let's journey east to the samurai. Their armor, known as o-yoroi, was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, but with a different philosophy. Instead of large, solid plates, it was made of thousands of small, individual scales or plates of lacquered leather and iron, laced together with silk cords. This offered excellent flexibility, which was crucial for the samurai's agile fighting style, emphasizing quick movements and precision strikes. It wasn't as brute force proof as plate armor, but it was lighter, and allowed for greater speed and agility, which was essential for archery and swordsmanship, often performed on horseback. So, we have a walking fortress versus a swift, agile fighter. The armor alone sets the stage for a fascinating duel. But what about their weapons? This is where it gets really interesting. The knight's arsenal was diverse and brutal. Their primary weapon was often the longsword, a versatile blade used for both slashing and thrusting, capable of finding gaps in armor. But they didn't stop there. They carried maces and warhammers for crushing helmets, poleaxes for reach and leverage, and daggers for close-quarters grappling. A knight was a walking toolbox of destruction, ready for any situation. The samurai, on the other hand, is inseparable from his soul: the katana. This curved, single-edged sword is legendary for its sharpness and cutting power, forged through a complex process of folding steel. The katana was designed for one thing: a swift, decisive cut. But the samurai was more than just a swordsman. They were also master archers using the yumi, a long, asymmetrical bow, often from horseback. They also carried a shorter sword, the wakizashi, and sometimes a dagger called a tanto. The samurai's weaponry was focused on precision, speed, and the art of the perfect strike. Imagine these two warriors facing off. The knight, encased in steel, advances slowly, his longsword ready. The samurai, light on his feet, circles, looking for an opening. The knight's strength is his defense and the raw power of his blows. He can absorb attacks that would fell a lesser warrior. The samurai's advantage is his speed and the legendary sharpness of his katana. He needs to be quick to exploit the small gaps in the knight's armor, at the joints, the visor, or the armpits. A direct slash from a katana against a solid steel breastplate? It probably wouldn't cut through. It might dent it, but it wouldn't be a fight-ending blow. The samurai would have to use his agility to outmaneuver the knight, using thrusts and precise cuts aimed at the vulnerable points. The knight, on the other hand, would try to close the distance using his superior weight and strength to overpower the samurai, perhaps using a grappling move to throw him to the ground, where his heavy armor would be a huge advantage. A blow from a warhammer would be devastating to either warrior, but it's a slower weapon. But a warrior is more than just their gear. It's about their mindset, their training, and the code they live by. Knights followed the code of chivalry. This was a moral system that combined the ferocity of a warrior with the piety of a Christian gentleman. It emphasized courage, honor, loyalty to one's lord, and the protection of the weak. Of course, the reality didn't always match the ideal, but this code shaped the knight's identity. They trained from a young age, learning to ride, fight, and serve. The samurai followed Bushido, the way of the warrior. This was a strict ethical code emphasizing loyalty, self-discipline, and honor unto death. For a samurai, disgrace was worse than death itself, which led to the practice of seppuku, or ritual suicide, to restore honor. Bushido demanded absolute loyalty to their daimyo, or lord. They trained relentlessly in martial arts, from swordsmanship to archery and unarmed combat. This mental and spiritual fortitude was as much a weapon as their katana. So, who would win? The answer, frustratingly, is it depends. It depends on the location, the specific equipment from a particular era, and a healthy dose of luck. In an open field, a knight on a warhorse has a massive advantage in the initial charge. In a forest or more confined space, the samurai's agility and speed might give him the edge. A 15th century knight in full plate versus a 16th century samurai in his Tosei Gusoku. Armor is a very different fight than a 12th century chainmail-clad knight versus a samurai in an older style of armor. But perhaps asking who would win is missing the point. What makes this matchup so compelling isn't just the clash of steel, but the clash of cultures. The knight and the samurai represent two different pinnacles of warrior evolution, shaped by their unique environments, technologies, and philosophies. They were the elite protectors of their respective societies, symbols of power, discipline, and honor. The knight was a product of European feudalism, a bastion of Christian authority on the battlefield. The samurai was born from the crucible of Japanese clan warfare, a living embodiment of Zen principles and unwavering loyalty. Both have left an indelible mark on our collective imagination, inspiring countless stories, films, and games. They represent a romantic ideal of the warrior, one bound by a code higher than themselves. So, while we may never know for sure who would emerge victorious, we can appreciate them both for what they were, legendary warriors who have earned their place in the halls of history. Their legacy is not just in who they could defeat, but in the ideals they fought for and the discipline they embodied. What do you think? Who's your money on, and why? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on this epic showdown. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world as greatest warriors. We'll see you in the next one.